Your immune system's most powerful defenders are literally waiting for the sunrise. Right now, as you're listening to this, specialized white blood cells called neutrophils are sitting dormant in your body. But the moment daylight hits your skin tomorrow morning, they'll transform into bacteria-destroying machines. Today, we're diving into the fascinating science of how just 5 minutes of morning sunlight can supercharge your immune system, why timing matters more than you think, and how to harness this natural immune boost safely. By the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly when and how to get optimal sun exposure for maximum immune benefits. So let's start with the basics. What's actually happening when sunlight hits our skin that makes our immune system stronger?
It all comes down to a remarkable biological process. When UVB rays from sunlight hit your exposed skin, they convert a cholesterol compound into vitamin D3. Your liver and kidneys then process this into active vitamin D, which is absolutely crucial for immune function.
And this isn't just about bone health, right? We're talking about actual immune defense here.
Exactly. Vitamin D acts like a master switch for your immune system. It helps your body produce antimicrobial peptides. Think of them as your body's natural antibiotics that neutralize bacteria, viruses, and even fungi before they can take hold.
That's incredible. So we're essentially making our own antibiotics just by stepping outside?
In a way, yes. And the research backs this up. People who are deficient in vitamin D are more likely to get sick, particularly with respiratory infections. Multiple studies have found that adequate vitamin D levels can reduce both the risk and severity of illnesses.
But here's what really blew my mind when I was reading about this. There's new research showing that it's not just about having vitamin D, but about when your immune system gets activated. Can you walk us through that?
Oh, this is fascinating stuff. A study published in Science Immunology from researchers at the University of Auckland revealed that neutrophils, your body's most abundant white blood cells, have a built-in circadian timer.
A circadian timer? Like they know what time it is?
Exactly. These immune cells are most effective at killing bacteria shortly after dawn. The researchers used transparent larval zebrafish to track immune cells in real time and demonstrated that light exposure directly sets the clock for these immune cells.
So our immune system is literally programmed to be strongest in the morning when we're exposed to daylight?
That's right. Light works like an internal alarm, switching your immune response on at the right time. Neutrophils don't just respond to threats, they prepare for them based on light cues, deploying their antibacterial weapons precisely when you're most likely to encounter pathogens.
This completely changes how I think about immunity. It's not just reactive, it's predictive. But what happens when we mess with this timing?
When you stay up late, miss morning sunlight, or get too much artificial light at night, your immune rhythm falls out of sync. Your defenses drop off at exactly the wrong time, when bacteria have the upper hand.
So all those late-night Netflix binges might actually be making us more vulnerable to getting sick?
The research suggests exactly that. When your light exposure is off, the timing gets scrambled. This has implications for anyone dealing with recurring infections, poor wound healing, or chronic inflammation.
Okay, so let's get practical. How much sunlight are we actually talking about here? Because I'm imagining people thinking they need to sunbathe for hours.
Actually, you need much less than you'd think. According to Cleveland Clinic research, even 10 to 30 minutes of sun exposure on bare skin can start to impact vitamin D levels in a positive way.
And the page content I found mentioned something even more specific. 5 to 30 minutes of midday sun twice a week?
Yes, that's from Biology Insights research. Exposing your bare arms and legs to midday sun between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. for 5 to 30 minutes twice a week can produce all the vitamin D most people need.
But wait, if we're talking about morning sunlight for immune benefits, why are we mentioning midday sun for vitamin D?
Great question. There are actually two different mechanisms at play. The circadian immune boost happens with morning light exposure. That's about timing and setting your internal clock. The vitamin D production is most efficient during midday when UVB rays are strongest.
So ideally, we'd want both, morning light to set our immune clock and some midday exposure for vitamin D production?
Exactly. And here's something interesting. Morning light doesn't even have to hit your skin to help with circadian regulation. When sunlight enters your eyes shortly after you wake up, it triggers a neural circuit that sets the timing of cortisol and melatonin.
Oh, so it's working through our eyes too, not just our skin?
Right. The fix is simple according to the research. Get outside within the first hour or so after waking, even on overcast days. Outdoor light on a cloudy morning still delivers thousands of lux, far more than typical indoor lighting.
You know what's funny? The Beatles were onto something when they sang, Here comes the sun, the smiles returning to their faces. There's actually science behind why sunny days make us feel good.
Absolutely. According to Dr. Charles Garvin from Cleveland Clinic, sunlight activates a specific part of the brain called the pineal gland, which is related to serotonin production. That's why it's sometimes called the feel-good hormone.
So we're getting mood benefits and immune benefits. But I have to ask, what about skin tone? Does this work the same for everyone?
This is really important. People with darker skin have more melanin, which acts as natural sunscreen. Someone with very dark skin may need up to 10 times longer in the sun to produce the same amount of vitamin D as someone with very fair skin.
10 times longer? That's a huge difference.
It is. And geography matters too. If you live near or above 40 degrees north latitude, roughly the line running through Boston, Madrid, or Beijing, there isn't enough UVB radiation from November through early March to produce meaningful vitamin D.
So people in northern climates are basically out of luck for half the year?
For vitamin D production from sunlight, yes. Move another 10 degrees north to cities like Edmonton or London, and that vitamin D winter stretches from October to April. But the circadian benefits of morning light still apply year-round.
Now, I'm curious about something. What about sunscreen? I feel like there's this constant tension between protecting our skin and getting these benefits.
The research on this is actually reassuring. A meta-analysis of 22 studies covering over 9,400 people found that regular sunscreen use does lower vitamin D levels, but only by about 2 ng/ml on average.
So it's a real reduction, but not dramatic?
Exactly. For most people, brief unprotected sun exposure before applying sunscreen, combined with dietary sources, is more than enough to maintain healthy levels.
But we should talk about the flip side here, right? Because I know UV exposure can also suppress immune function.
Absolutely crucial point. The research shows that too much sun can suppress immune function and increase risk for serious conditions, including skin cancer. It's all about finding that sweet spot.
So there's this delicate balance between getting enough for benefits, but not so much that it becomes harmful?
Right. UV-induced immunosuppression has been extensively studied since it was first described by Dr. Kripke and Dr. Fisher in the late 1970s. High levels of UV radiation can suppress the immune processes that would normally detect and attack malignant cells.
That's actually terrifying. So how do we know where that line is?
The key insight from recent research is that low levels of UV exposure have interesting differences from the suppressive effects of high levels. The impact of brief, moderate exposure on the immune system bears different effects than prolonged exposure.
So it's not just about the UV exposure itself, but the dose and duration?
Exactly. And this is where the timing aspect becomes so important. Getting that brief morning exposure for circadian benefits, plus short midday exposure for vitamin D, seems to hit the sweet spot without triggering the immunosuppressive effects.
There's something else I found fascinating in the research. Vitamin D acts like a switch that activates T cells. Can you explain what that means?
T cells are your body's problem solvers. They help recognize invaders and direct the immune response. Without enough vitamin D, T cells don't react as quickly, which can slow down your entire defense system.
So vitamin D is like the key that unlocks our immune system's ability to respond effectively?
That's a great way to put it. Vitamin D helps keep your immune system balanced, strong enough to fight off pathogens, but not so reactive that it causes unnecessary inflammation.
And according to what I read, humans get more than 80% of their vitamin D from sunlight exposure, not from food?
That's right. According to Vinmec research, up to 80% of the vitamin D required by the body is synthesized through daily direct exposure to sunlight. The daily requirement can only meet 10 to 20% through dietary intake.
So we're really designed to get this from the sun, not from supplements or food.
Exactly. Dr. Garvin from Cleveland Clinic notes that more than 90% of our vitamin D comes from sunlight exposure. The skin absorbs ultraviolet B rays, which triggers the conversion of a cholesterol molecule into vitamin D3.
There's one more study I want to touch on, something about morning sun exposure affecting sleep quality. How does that tie into immune function?
This is from BMC Public Health Research with 1,762 adults. They found that every 30-minute increment of morning sun exposure before 10 a.m. was associated with a 23-minute reduction in the midpoint of sleep and improved sleep quality overall.
And better sleep means better immune function, right?
Absolutely. The research shows that maintaining a robust circadian rhythm through regular exposure to daylight supports a healthy immune system. It's all interconnected: light exposure, sleep quality, and immune function.
So when you step back from all this research, what we're really talking about is this elegant biological system where light exposure programs our entire physiology.
Exactly. Your immune system isn't just reactive, it's timed. When you're exposed to pathogens matters as much as how your body fights them. Simple changes like getting outside in the morning can reprogram your immune system to respond faster and more effectively.
And the practical takeaway is surprisingly simple. Just 5 minutes of morning sunlight can start this whole cascade of immune benefits.
Right. Whether it's stepping outside with your morning coffee, taking a brief walk, or even just sitting by a window, that early light exposure is setting your immune system up for success throughout the day.
You know what's amazing? We've been talking about cutting-edge immunology research, but the solution is as old as humanity itself, just stepping outside when the sun comes up.
Sometimes the most powerful interventions are the simplest ones. Our bodies evolved with these natural light cycles, and modern research is just confirming what our biology has always known.
So tomorrow morning, when you see that first light creeping through your window, remember, your neutrophils are literally waiting for that signal to power up and protect you. Thanks for joining us on Co-Pilot Podcasts, and here's to stronger immunity, one sunrise at a time.